Welcome back, Patriots. Welcome to Sons of Liberty 1773. I'm your host, Bill Bailey. Um, Folks, we are heading for some terrible times. I've been saying this for a while. If you follow some of the other preppers on YouTube and Rumble, they're all saying the same thing. They, follow this stuff, what's going on in the world with the economy, with wars, with the weather, the famine or the drought that we're having globally. You can argue, whether it's man-made. I don't personally think it is. I think we go through these cycles, the earth does. Certainly there's been horrific droughts and famines in biblical times, and that's way before the industrial age. So I think we're going through a cycle. Regardless, we're in a bad, dry drought period, and that is one of the end time things, drought. So I have this sign here, as you can see, warning, depression ahead. Now, it's a bright orange sign, right? Warning you, there's a depression ahead. And these signs have been in front of us almost daily now for over a year. It's going to get bad. And I've got some articles I want to share with you. I think I guess it wouldn't be long enough to make another video. I will share one story that I didn't plan on in this video, but regarding Matt DePerno and Christina Caramo. They're both now running for state chair, which Matt was in first, and he has Garrett Saldano as his co-chair. I don't know why Christina's doing this. When you go to convention, these are like two of our heroes, right? And now you will have to make a choice. It will split the vote and will liable to end up with an establishment hack instead of one of our grassroots, which I think is what I don't know who got Christina to put her hat in, but we need to unite, in my opinion, behind Matt DePerno and not Christina Caramo, but Matt DePerno and his co-chair Garrett Saldano. Matt raised money for PACs that were running ads for our candidates. I think he raised $3.5 million to a teeny, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 that Christina raised for political PACs that are on our side. And Matt has proven he can raise money. And of the three, Tudor, Christina, and Matt was the closest to winning his race. And Matt's met a lot of powerful people. The main job of the chair is going to be to raise money. That's going to be the job of the chair. You got to be able to raise money, and lots of it. One other person that's getting in the race is Pete Hoekstra. He's kind of a neocon, been around for a while, probably the establishment person. And my argument with someone like Hoekstra is, we were starving for money this election cycle. Where were you? You don't need to be chair to be calling your friends and getting them to give money. What excuse is that? Renee and I held a fundraiser and raised for Matt and Christina probably close to $30,000. And I don't know anybody, with deep pockets. So and that's all small donors that came to a dinner and where Matt and Christina would speak here at the barn I'm in right now. But I think Matt, obviously he's my friend, right? But take that, put that away. Of the people that can raise money for the Michigan GOP, I think Matt is the guy, and we've got to get behind him. And this is just such a crappy move by somebody to get Christina to put her hat in, knowing that it's going to divide us, right? The establishment is doing a dance right now. Christina didn't call Matt, didn't forewarn him or anything. So, I'm not obviously real happy with this development, but after Prop 2 passed in Michigan, it really don't. Michigan's lost, man. It is a dark blue communist stronghold now, and it will take years to fix it. And to be honest, I don't know if we have a nation in 2 years. Being honest with you, I mean, it's not good. When I see what's happened in Arizona, and you can't talk about any of this crap on here, but everything is corrupt in this country, folks. We are in the winter of America, I'm afraid. And it's going to get really bad before we can take our country back. And it's going to have to, because no one's awake. Not enough people. People don't vote. When they do vote, they don't have a clue who the hell they're voting for. They're more interested in playing video games and doing crap than paying attention to our country. And the reason for that is they can afford to not pay attention. They can pay their bills. They got a job. They got a car. They got a roof over their head. There's beer in the fridge. They can watch a football game. And they just don't see the world that because we're mentally astute of what the hell's going on in our world. And we're going to be the ones that are paying attention, that are going to survive the hell that we're sailing into. And because it's going to be bad. Economically, it's going to wipe people out. They're not going to be able to afford food, heat, fuel for their cars, their house payments, car payments. And when the internet's unhooked and they actually got to pay attention to what the hell's going on in the world, wondering why they lost their job, then maybe they'll wake up and start paying attention and we can take our country back. But I just feel like right now there's not enough people awake. I mean, obviously, midterm should have been a blowout with Republican voters. And they weren't there. So that's it. I just wanted to share that little bit about Matt and Christina. You can give me your thoughts in the comments down below. I'll try to read them. Real quick, My Pillow, it's getting toward Christmas time. I haven't made these plugs in a while. Go to mypillow.com, enter SOL1773 and save up to 66% or maybe even more. Mike Lindell's been having some specials. Mike Lindell, by the way, is running against Ronna Romney for national chair of the Republican Party. And I think he's got a good shot of pulling it off. If we get through our state conventions first of all, and then when there's the national Republican meeting, then delegates from state convention go to national convention, and that they will cast their votes for who is going to be the chair of the party. If the Republican establishment can get their delegates there, then Ronna Romney will stay in power. The corruption will remain. If we can get our delegates there, our America First delegates, then there will be a sea change in the Republican Party, and Mike Lindell will be the chair. And Ronna Romney failed us miserably. She didn't raise any money for us, for our candidates. The money she had, she didn't give to them. Their whole goal was to starve the Trump-endorsed candidates of funds and give this country to the Democrats and further destroy the world we live in. It doesn't seem like a real bright plan to me. Same thing in Michigan. From one state to the next, the same thing played out with the state and in the National Republican Party. They sold us down the road, folks. If I thought starting a third party, F you guys, we'll start a third party, was a winning strategy, I would have did it years ago. I would have been all over doing that. We've got to take over the Republican Party, much like the communists took over the DNC. And by the way, every time the Democrats use the word democracy, they want to build a communist state. Don't let them fool you. When they say democracy, they're talking about communism. We are a representative republic, right? So that's all I want. I won't spend any more time on the Matt and Christina thing, but other than that, just really a boneheaded move by Christina, in my opinion. And I love that woman. Smart, but this move was not smart. And it's going to turn us against one another. And that's not what I expect someone of her caliber to do. So that's that. So mypillow.com, SOL1773. You got to be prepping, my friends. You got to be prepping. Renee and I are like finding cubby holes to push food into. I'm serious. Um, Prepare for the worst, pray for the best. But I'll get into some articles here, and you're going to find out it's really bad. Depression ahead. Warning: depression inbound. Not just the Great Depression. In my opinion, it is going to be the greatest depression. Um, the hurt is coming, and maybe the good thing that comes out of all the suffering will be we will finally wake up enough people to start taking our country back. I pray, right? And then easy homesteading is my friend Dan Short's new business. Phantom Works, if you remember that show on, which I loved, Restoration Shop on Motor Trend TV. One word, Phantom Works here on YouTube. He has started Phantom Works off-grid. He's building EMP-proof vehicles. They're still doing their restoration work. But then he's also started easyhomesteading.com. Easyhomesteading.com, just the letter E, Z, homesteading.com. He has some great deals. He's building his website. He bought 100,000. Dan doesn't do anything half-assed. 100,000 freeze-dried meals, and they've got great prices on them. Stuff looks really good. I'm going to make an order through Dan. They have a seed vault that I saw that I think's really cool. I'm going to order one of those. All your different garden seeds in a nice case. And I have one now. I think I'm going to buy another one from his. His looked a little nicer, to be honest, than the one I have. But they have some good prices and stuff. And I don't have any discount code or anything for Easy Homesteading. Their prices look really good. Down the road, as his company grows, maybe he'll give out some for us to share. But for right now, he's in the just starting to grow his business, though. But I think he will rival My Patriot Supply. I think it'll be that big of operation. So easy homesteading. So let's get to did you get your antidepressant pills? Have you popped a couple? Because here we go. Let's see. This is over at Zero Hedge. Ugly jolt. Job openings plunged by 353,000 as hiring quits tumbled to multi-year lows. I don't think we need to get any further than that. That just come out today. U.S. pending home sales plunged the biggest annual drop ever, folks. Listen to that. U.S. pending home sales plunged to the biggest annual drop ever. I will I checked. I went on the. I'm a real estate broker, so I went on the MLS board about an hour ago to check what was available. Antrim County here. Now, keep in mind we're a seasonal real estate. I mean, we have year-round residents here, but there's a lot of seasonal homes. They're up here for the summer on the lake to enjoy it on the weekends, and then they shut it down for the winter. And then you got the people that live here for the summers, and they shut their cabins down and they go down by Brian Lupo and Nick Moseder in Florida or Arizona or somewhere where it's warm. I don't know why they would leave winter. I mean, I love the snow. Why would you leave that beautiful white powder falling from the sky? I do get sick of it by the end of winter, but I like winter. But there's only 66 active that aren't pending right now, okay? 66 homes available in Antrim County. I would think a low number is a couple hundred this time of year. So there's not much inventory. Stuff is really expensive. I mean, a young couple to buy like a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house now, it's $300,000-$400,000. So, and on Northern Michigan wages, that's like, they're going to have to rent. And then renting, rent is ridiculously expensive. And this is inflation, folks. This is what inflation is doing. So will we have a housing crash like we did in 08? 06, 08, depending on what part of the country you're in and when you went into the bad recession. Probably not that bad because they were, I used to say if you could fog a mirror, you'll get a loan. Seriously, government took all the checks and balances that banks had, right? Debt to income ratio, time on the job, credit rating, all that stuff, conservative lending policies. Not that they didn't want you to loan you the money, but they wanted you to have the ability to pay them back. Well, then the federal government entered, George Bush and Barack Obama, the two of them were just as bad on this, that somehow owning a home is a God-given right. Actually, it's not. You have to earn your way to buy a home, but they laxed the lending policies, and the bank said, well, we're not going to make these loans. These are stupid. Doesn't follow any of the rules for loaning money. Oh, you ain't got to worry about it. We're insuring it. You're going to loan the money and we're insuring it. So they were basically, zero down mortgages insured by the government. The bank reaped the profits of it and had no liability. And they would have never made those loans if the government didn't insure them. So then the economy choked up, right? And everybody said, the houses went from being worth, 300 to 200 for the buyer that borrowed 300 on it. Well, I'm $100,000 negative in this house now. I don't think I'll make my payments. And so, there was that big repo thing. I mean, you'd open up the paper for years on end and they're full of repos because of the government, folks. The government created that. And and they always try to put the blame. Oh, them damn bankers. No, actually, it wasn't the bankers. It was the government interfering in the housing market. And I remember those times, there was this many, let's just say the circle is this big. There's this many people available to buy houses in America that, had money, job, credit rating, down payment. And the government, when they got rid of all that stuff and insured the loans, they made the amount of buyers that big. And there was only X amount of homes on the market. So the homes bloated in price. Builders couldn't build them quick enough. And then the house of cards fell apart. So we won't go into that bad of a housing crash. But it will still be a bad housing crash. Just probably not that bad. What's going on now is people can't afford, as they keep raising interest rates. I think we're up to 7% now, and we were at 3 or something at one time. People can no longer afford the payments to buy the house that they would like to buy. So those buyers are gone out of the market. And we're still a lot of cash out there. So, still a lot of cash buyers. But I'm going to tell you, we are at the very tail end. And I mean the tip of the tail of a seller's market. It's going to change, and it's going to change rather quickly, in my opinion. ADP signals turning point, weakest labor gains since January 2021. Manufacturing job losses soar. 127,000 jobs were added in November, the lowest amount since January 2021. Folks, this is these signs we are passing that are saying warning, depression ahead. Some people think it's just going to be a recession. I don't. I not only think we're heading into a depression, I think it's going to be the greatest depression. Make sure you guys are seeing this because I can never tell. Actually, let me see if I can fix that so you can see all of that. Oops. There we go. The stock market could fall 24% in 2023 as the Fed's balance sheet reduction sparks liquidity risk in odd places, Bank of America says. So that's not good. Michael Burry, Big Shorts investor Michael Burry sounds the recession alarm, warning the U.S. economy faces a multi-year downturn. Michael Burry has predicted the U.S. economy will suffer a multi-year recession. The Big Short investor sees no way for authorities to end the downturn early. Burry has warned consumers will virtually exhaust their savings soon, tanking the economy. This is over at Markets Insider as well. expect a U.S. recession that will ravage markets and could send stocks spiraling down 24% next year, Bank of America says. Bank of America economists expect the U.S. to slip into a recession in the first quarter of 2023. That will become the dominant story for markets next year, the bank said. The S&P 500 could plunge 24% from its current level by the end of the year, strategists warned. And then one other thing I do want to show you. Folks, let me pull it up here real quick. Give me just a second. Okay. I took a little time to go back through the national debt. You can go to usdebtclock.org, and there's a time traveler button up there where you can go back and figure out what the debt was, the U.S. National debt. So, folks, look what's happened in this economy. Prior to 1980, it was never near $1 trillion, ever. The whole national debt wasn't $1 trillion. By 1980, it was $927 billion. It was getting close. Reagan was the first president to add $1 trillion to the national debt. And he did it because he lowered taxes to spur the economy. So the government didn't have the money to pay their bills, and they were racking up the charge card, so to speak. But then the economy was booming. And if they would have stayed with Reagan's policy, we would have no debt today. This country would be rich, and we would have zero debt. But, never happens. And Republicans are just as guilty as Democrats as a rule. So 1980, it's $927 billion. 1990, it's $3 trillion. 2000, it's $5.6 trillion. Still a small number compared to the day, right? Just 22 years ago. 2008, it's $16 trillion. We've over doubled it since then. 2016, $20 trillion. 2020, $27 trillion. 2022, $31 trillion and climbing. Joe Biden, when he came to office, it was $27.7 trillion. I looked it up the day he took office. That's less than 2 years ago. Now it's $31.3 trillion. So if we go back to Reagan, because the debt was, only $927 billion, and he added over $1 trillion to the debt. So Reagan increased the national debt by 186.36%. To $1,859 billion. Then George H.W. Bush raised it 54.39%. This is George H.W. Bush is the globalist that said it's time for a new world order at the, was it the Rio de Janeiro Climate Summit or something back in the day? So when George H.W. Bush left office, it was $1 million, no, I take that back. Reagan added $1,800 billion to the national debt. George H.W. Bush added $1,554 billion. William Jefferson Clinton added $1,395 billion. George W. Bush spent money, folks. He racked the debt up in this nation. He did the bank bailout. Remember that? Banks warned them, we're bankrupt. The economy crashes tomorrow if we don't get money. So they bailed them out. So George W. Bush racks up a staggering, and these last 3-4 presidents is where the debt in this nation is really growing to a cataclysmic level. So George W. Bush raises the national debt by 105%, adding $6,102 billion. Barack Hussein Obama, who when he was running as Senator Obama for the presidency, said, and George W. Bush borrowed more money than George Washington to William Jefferson Clinton combined. And Obama was right. He said, and he goes, not only is it wrong, borrowed from the Bank of China, not only is it wrong, it is unpatriotic. Obama said that. You can look it up. It's on YouTube. So then Barack Obama goes on to make George Bush look kind of thrifty. Although he raised the, you got to watch these percentages, because the amount of money they're raising. But he raised the national debt 69.98%, but he added $8,335 billion to the debt. Obamacare and all the socialist spending. He did the auto bailout. which I was against too. The government, there's a reason for bankruptcy and reorganization. I think the government could have loaned them the money, I guess. Could have loaned, Ford didn't take any money, but you could have loaned Ford and Chrysler the money and some sort of interest, so we're not giving it for free. I just don't like the way he handled it. And he let our military decay. So then Donald Trump comes in, 4-year term, right? Raises the national debt by, looks pretty thrifty. The president's below him there, 33.62%, but he does add $6,807,000,000,000. Trump did in 4 years to the national debt. I can tell you $3 trillion of that went to fixing and restoring our dilapidated military to make it a state-of-the-art military that it needs to be. And now Joe is, giving away all the equipment to Ukraine. So I just wanted to share that with you because I thought it was interesting. So really since 2008, the national debt has doubled. This is unsustainable. And this inflation, this is currency that they're putting out there, borrowing this money, is the reason that a $250,000 home now is $450,000. A $40,000 pickup truck is now $90,000, and on and on and on, right? That our grocery bill that used to be $120 is now $300. They're destroying us. And they've got themselves in a pickle now. They've actually got us backed in the corner because their choices are recession, I believe depression, or inflation. Choose your poison. More than likely runaway inflation. And that's why I say, I can just guarantee we're heading into really bad economic times. And I'm not an economist. I'm not a financial guy. As always, go do your own research, consult with the professionals you trust. I'm giving you my opinion, okay, from 61 years in next month, 60, coming up on my birthday next month, on planet Earth. So the herd is coming, unfortunately. And then Russia, Ukraine, just to touch on what's going on there. Russia tells its troops there must be 5 million of them for victory, while the Russian army, I think, is about 2 million, which means, they may draft 3 million people or they may use tactical nuclear weapons instead. And much of Ukraine is still without power, heat, and water after missile attacks. There's been a barrage of never-ending missiles since, Commander Armageddon, that's what they call the guy, was moved, Russian commander from Turkey, I think, to Ukraine to lead the war. And right away, he started hitting all the critical infrastructure in Ukraine. They are going to starve and freeze them out of the country to death or out of the country. And then once they beat them up and the winter sets in, the chill of winter, then they'll start moving in for the kill. So unless Joey does something stupid like gets us into World War III by sending our troops in with a multinational force to help Ukraine, which will be World War III, to push the Russians out of Ukraine, I don't see where Ukraine wins this war. And they've spent... I was trying to Google the number. It's almost like they're suppressing it, trying to figure out how much money and military stuff we've gave to Ukraine. And I think it's over 50 billion. But it's hard to find anything. It's like they're hiding it from us. If somebody knows the answer, post it in the comments. And then... I thought there was one other thing I wanted to check on, but that's it, just for the hell of it. The market was up and down this morning. It's so manipulated, folks. The Feds actually have traders on the trader floor. Do you know that? The Federal Reserve, and when they need money, they just invent it, and they send us the bill. But I will check the market really quick just to see if it was down like 200 points. I just kind of watched the Dow. It was down 225 points, so now it's up 374. I'm not putting a lot of, I hate to use the pun, stock in the stock market, but I think the dominoes are going to fall here real soon, and when they fall, they're going to fall hard. A lot of pretty brilliant economists are saying the pain is coming. They're putting these road signs in front of us, warning. They're saying recession ahead. I'm saying depression ahead. So let me know what you think, folks, about Matt and Christine. And Matt is running. His co-chair is Garrett Saldano, great grassroots guy that did incredibly well. And then the DeVos family came in with Tudor Dixon, right? And they put in millions of, she didn't even campaign, spent millions on her campaign during the primary, and they took out Ryan Kelly. Kevin Rinke, which auto dealer family in Detroit, was going to spend $50 million of his money on his campaign. That's who they were really worried about. Ryan Kelly and Ralph Rebrand. So, and then once Tudor got to the point, and it ends up Tudor's really a good conservative woman. I like her. But once they got her through the primary, they didn't give her any money. So they starved her. I mean, their plan worked, folks. Unfortunately, they starved our candidate of funds. I mean, we were outspent like 16-1. Everybody goes, well, you don't need money to win. Where the hell are you living? Under a rock? Negative ad campaigns work. Even if the ads are just complete garbage, which mostly they are. If somebody's outspending you millions to one, I don't care how great a candidate you are, you're going to lose. And the Republican Party knew that, and that's why they starved our candidates of money. I mean, the Republican Party is basically willing to throw America to the wolves just out of spite. Part of it is, too, that they have those same good old boy relationships with corporate America that the Democrats do. And that's where the uniparty comes from, right? They're all in bed with their corporate overlords. Democrats and Republicans alike. Some of the companies fund both parties because they want to buy politicians that will pass laws or grants or whatever that they benefit from. And I'll tell you before I finish up here, I want to do a video on BlackRock and Vanguard. I think these two companies own. If the pie is this big, of all of the wealth in America, I think those two companies own 90% of it. And I'll tell you, I don't like government getting involved in the private sector, but in this case, when these corporations have bought our politicians to gain power and money, and they're big on the ESG score too. BlackRock is, environmental, social, and governance, because they're in with the government. I think we need to break them up, and I'm totally for it. Let's make a fair playing field out there for everybody, right? Because we're ending up in a society where there's the elites and there's the poor. That's where we're heading. There's not going to be a middle class left. They are destroying the middle class. This inflation and this economic times that we're heading to, it's not, the rich is going to have food on their table. Their lights are going to be on. They're going to be living in a air conditioned or heated mansion. They're not going to feel any of the pain. We're going to feel it. And that's why, for us to survive what's coming, you need to become a prepper. And it's almost getting to the point where it's too late. I mean, I beat this drum too much with people, but if you don't have a minimum, I used to say 30 days. I'm going to say 6 months now, but really it's getting to be to a year. You need like a year or two worth of food put up. And that means that you get rid of the cable TV if you have to. You sell the toys and you go invest in food. Because you can't eat your motorcycle or your snowmobile or your Corvette or your race boat or your whatever you got that's a luxury item. When the as the Canadian prepper will say, the shizzy hits the fizzy. I'm taking it serious. And I'll tell you, the one thing I would definitely be stocking up on is 2A stuff. Dog food, you know what I'm talking about, for the super soakers, right? Um, you better have some of that, because they're coming for that next. They're doing it in Canada now. They're going after all semi-automatic weapons. They're not going to have any guns in Canada, the way it's going. They're going to have to, they'll probably allow hunting up there because it's a big part of their economy. But even the hunting rifles will be in a lock safe with permits and all kinds of crap. Probably bolt action single shots. And there'll be a whole permit process to you won't be able to bring your guns from America to go up there hunting. You have to go up there and rent a gun and give the background check and all the stupid crap, which will kill their hunting economy up there. But it's coming here next. Joe's already said he's coming after semi-automatic weapons. He said it. They're conniving people. I know, I get it. We got the Second Amendment right, shall not be infringed, right? But that doesn't stop them, right? We have First Amendment rights. We have rights to, how we select people. They trample on everything. They don't care about this document, folks. It means nothing to them. They just got to figure the workaround. And the workaround may be when there's a mass shooting, to sue these gun manufacturers. Now, there was a big one after Shady Hook. I forget, was it Remington? Or Bushmaster? I can't. Whoever it was, the gun company was out of business. It didn't even exist anymore. But yet they went after them, and I think there was a judgment. And they're going to use case law, and they're just going to start suing the gun manufacturers, where the gun manufacturers will get sued out of business. Same thing with the ammo manufacturers. This is the way I see it going. We'll see, but it's not good. So I guess to recap, the herd is coming, my friends. Are you listening? Right? You see me? We are heading into biblical times. I mean, it's going to be bad. These droughts, someday I'll cover the drought. Matter of fact, I was just thinking today, maybe I'll even call some of the agricultural centers, the farm bureaus or whatever that are out in the plain states and out west, and because they're going to know. Say, hey, I'm seeing all this stuff on the internet with droughts and lack of fertilizer and yada, 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 and see if I can get some real-time feedback from people in the know. But I'm getting enough off the internet that I'm confident there's a major drought out west, and these hydroelectric systems are going to fail. Vegas likely may not even be able to get drinking water. And normally what you would do when you see there's a problem developing is you start figuring out the fix, which out there would be nuclear power plants, state-of-the-art nuclear power plants. They're 20 years to build one. By the time they get the permitting and build them, it's 2 decades they'll go by. So they're too late for that. Desalination plants on the coast so they can get drinking water. That's fine, but they're not going to desalinate enough water to water their crops out there. So I'm just, and it's not just here. It's a global thing with this drought. Rice and wheat production. India had terrible yields in their rice crops, and that right now there's food in the stores because we're eating last year's yields. Next year we will be devouring this year's yields, and there's not going to be enough food to go around. That's my prediction. This stuff is out of our control, right? The government is doing us in with their overprinting of our currency. We're going to either have hyperinflation or we're going to have the Great Depression. So you got to prepare, folks. You got to pay off whatever if you could sell everything and pay your house off, my advice is do it. Get out of debt. Have some cash in-house. I am personally own some gold and silver that
I don't plan on ever using unless we go into hyperinflation and our currency is not worth anymore. Um, I consider it currency insurance. That's what physical gold and silver is. You don't plan on selling it, but if our currency becomes worthless, gold and silver will go through the ceiling, the value of it. So you have it for protection, just like fire insurance on your house, car insurance, health insurance, all of it, right? You don't want to get sick. You don't want to smash the car. Certainly don't want your house to burn down, but you insure against it. And I see gold and silver as currency insurance. And then the survival food is food insurance, right? What happens when you can't go to the grocery store and there's no more food there? What are you going to do, folks? Do you have a plan? How are you going to heat your home? You got to think this stuff through. It's the times we're living in. The days of a stable America where you could count on food at the grocery store, them days are coming to an end, and rather quickly. But I think we're heading for I think this administration is going to lead us into World War III. Pray it doesn't, right? I think China's going to go into, at some point, Taiwan. And I think we're heading for cataclysmic times on this planet, economically and agriculturally. And I'm one of these people, why not just prepare for the worst and hope for the best? Better to have and not need than need and not have, right? So that's it, folks. Give me your thoughts. If you think I'm off base, I'm happy to read your comments. Just be respectful. I always try to be. Once in a while, we get some, I'm not a fan of communists. So if I get some idiots in the chat, I just ban them. Boom, gone. I can do that. You're in my world here, right? Or our world. I consider it our community here. Okay, that ends it. We'll keep watching what happens over the next few weeks. But I suspect after Christmas, once we get into January, February, March, things are going to start falling apart really quick. We'll see. You can remind me if I'm right about that, or if I'm wrong. Say, no, Bill, you were wrong. We're into April and it looks really good. I don't think that's going to be the case. Okay, God bless, Patriots. Keep the faith. Remember, we're always moving forward. We never surrender and we never retreat.